You know, I'm reminded of a conversation that I had a couple of days ago when I was in LA Fitness working out, and I realized the disconnect that a lot of people of color have, and it goes back to something that John Kerry said a week ago while he was overseas. He says, American people have a right to be stupid. Now, this is coming from a person that is basically the second highest administration official. He just took Hillary Clinton's job. And for him to say that in front of an international audience spoke volumes. But it came back to what I was saying, or what I observed with this conversation I was having in LA Fitness with this one brother. And that is, we as Americans don't think globally at all, in a lot of aspects. And I'm not making a generalization and saying everybody, because it's not everybody now. But a lot of people don't look past their affections for a person, especially if it's an elected official. Now, since I've had my channel up, I've tried to educate people or bring enlightenment to our current political status, our power. I've given small examples of why we as black people or Negroes don't have power in America, because we don't have base. I pointed out several examples in videos. You can go back and research it. I've always tried to, bring people up to the level of some respectability. But you can't help everybody. And it's just simple as that. You can't help everybody. And me and this brother was talking. And what I did was I laid out an argument, not so he could see it, but I laid out a subtle argument. What I did was I put this current president's policy, I presented it to him as if they were George Bush's policy. But I didn't even call George Bush's name, just to see if he knew anything about this person that he was so adamantly trying to get me to bandwagon with. And so we were talking, and he was talking about how great it is, and how this it is, and this. So I just started saying, yeah, man, you know what's messed up when such and such did this. When such and such, didn't say anything about that. When he let black people die overseas and didn't say anything, and when he he signed the NDAA into law. When he enhanced the wireless surveillance and enhanced wireless wiretapping and did this and, signed SOFA. And this guy and his mental was operating under the assumption that I was talking about George Bush. And then we started talking about the Senate. And I started telling him how many black U.S. senators it was. It's messed up we only got 25. I was just throwing numbers out there. It's messed up that we only got 200 representatives in the United States Congress. I was just throwing numbers out there, erroneous numbers. And he was like, yeah, man, we ought to have more than that. And it was sad that this is a 50-plus-year-old man and didn't even know how many United States representatives we have. Didn't know how many United States senators we have. And I was just throwing numbers out there, and I never corrected him. Because when you're operating under that ignorance, you can't be saved. And, even today, man, people don't, it's a shame people don't understand. I've been telling people, why we don't have senatorial power. Right now, in 2013, we only have 2 black United States senators. 1 Democratic, 1 Republican. Total of 100 senators. 50 on one side, 50 on the other side. Out of 435 United States representatives, we have 120, well, might be about 25 now, that are African American. And, you know, but we operate under this, you know, assumption, man. We always operate under assumption that our best interests are being taken into consideration. That's how we operate. We operate like the buck stops at Barack Obama and it goes no further. And for some people, you just can't, you know, you can't unlock that box that says more needs to be done. More has to happen. You just can't unlock it. And there's no need to try. You know, and a lot of times, my policy is, the only time I talk about politics is on YouTube. Because you can't talk politics to black people. In a lot of situations, you know, a lot of brothers you can talk politics with. But I'm talking about black people. And when I say black people like that, I mean those people that just are politically ignorant. But, you know, brothers that know what's happening, you can politic with them. You know, you can have a meeting of the mind. You can have a meeting of the mind with them. But the average person, it's sad, man. You know, the average person has no earthly idea what's going on. You know, when you start talking outside of Atlanta Housewives and Basketball Wives and Love Hip Hop Atlanta, you might as well try and talk biochemistry to a drunk on the street that didn't finish 3rd grade. Because that's the level of sanity you're going to try and deal with. Or insanity, should I say. So, I don't even try. That's why nothing surprises me about the comments I get. Or the private emails I get. Nothing surprises me. So, you know, it is what it is, man. You know, like my man Rich 524 always says, you broke the first commandment, thou shalt not criticize Obama. You know what? You can't even criticize him. You can't even mention his name in a less than glaring light. And I always go back to what I always say. If this was a white man in the White House, would you let him get away with it? Would you let him get away with blowing you off every year? Would you let him get away with ignoring a black agenda? Would you let him get away with not speaking to the black people? Would you let him get away with not meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus, which really don't do nothing anyway? Would you let him get away with skipping NAACP meetings, annual meetings? Would you let him get away with black people standing in bread lines all around America while he gallivants and plays golf? Would you let him get away with it? You know? Would you let him get away with reappointing John Brennan as you know, putting John Brennan back in the White House? A man who's, under his leadership the first time, the drone strikes increased 500%. A man that was so hated under George Bush that Obama tried to nominate him in 2008 and couldn't do it because this man was so hated. Would you let this man in 2013 be back in control of drones if it were a white man who did it? No, you wouldn't. Would you go along with the wholesale killing of Africa? No, you wouldn't. Would you go along with the further expansion into Africa? No, you wouldn't. Would you go along with silence after 4 years in the White House, 1,800 mostly black people are murdered in one city in Chicago? No, you wouldn't. And if you're saying that, you're just telling them a lie. Peace.